Coming up on City Scene, we travel to the northeast part of Sioux Falls to check in on progress for Highway 100. Then dive into a look of what's ahead for the Big Sioux River Water Summit and learn how they do zoo accreditation. Welcome to City Scene right here on CityLink, where each month we go all around the departments in the city of Sioux Falls. And today we drive to the northeast part of Sioux Falls to check in on Highway 100, where Shannon Austin is, to tell us how it's going to change travel and transportation in Sioux Falls.
Well, one of our biggest projects on the east side, Veterans Parkway, from Maple Street up to Rice Street, is progressing along nicely. And we welcome back to the show Mike from the DOT. Mike, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
So the last time we were out here, there was a lot of dirt being moved. And so it still looks like there's dirt being moved, but can you give our viewers an update of the progress in the last couple of months?
Yeah, I sure can. Last couple months, so I think where we left off a couple months ago, we had about 50 to 60% of our dirt moved out here. Again, I'll remind everybody it was 1.1 million yards of dirt, which is a substantial amount of dirt to be moved out here. I would say right now, as the project currently sits, we're between 85 and 90% complete on the dirt being moved. I would anticipate by mid-August we would be a contractor looking to start paving operations out here on Veterans Parkway.
So as far as the scale of things, 1.1 million yards of dirt being moved. Is that one of the biggest projects you've worked on?
Yes, from my experience, absolutely it's the most amount of dirt. I would say a typical grading project would have, at most that I've dealt with, has been a couple 100,000 cubic yards.
Okay.
So this is a magnitude of 5 or 10.
Okay. So concrete, this will be concrete pavement?
Yes, this will be concrete pavement on Veterans Parkway itself. The two tie-in pieces along Rice Street will be asphalt pavement up to the intersection at Rice, which will be concrete as well.
Okay, let's talk about traffic control a little bit. So Rice Street, will that have a traffic signal when the project is done?
It will. Once complete, there will be a traffic signal, I believe fully actuated to obviously 3 lanes of traffic at this point. But yes, there will be a traffic signal for the patrons of Brandon coming into Sioux Falls and Sioux Falls heading out.
So it'll look a lot like the southern portion of Veterans Parkway from Madison Street down to the south, right?
Correct,
okay.
Correct. It would be very similar to what we have now down on Maple.
Yep.
So.
Okay, so then the Maple Street intersection with Veterans Parkway, I don't believe last time we talked, we weren't going to put a signal in there. That'll just be will it be a 4-way stop or a 2-way stop? Or?
I believe it'll be a 2-way stop.
Okay.
Veterans will have a through.
And then Maple Street, I know we've been working with Minnehaha County as well as the Brandon Engineering Office. The Maple Street will still be gravel, so our drivers will still need to be aware of that, but 100 or Veterans Parkway will definitely be going paved through the entire section.
Yeah, we'll have a paved section all the way leading from all the way from Arrowhead Parkway north.
Okay, so then the next phase of Veterans Parkway then would be Rice Street up to Interstate 90, and that project hasn't been let yet. Can you give our viewers an update on that project?
Yep, I sure can. That project's scheduled to be let the end of August. Going through our paperwork change, it'll probably take about a month before things will start picking up out there. You'll probably see some minimal dirt work start here in the fall of 17. I would anticipate our bridge contractor to work throughout the entire winter and into 2018 to finish the work. That project is approximately a $50 million project.
Okay.
There are 5 structures that are to be built on that project.
Wow.
2 over the Big Sioux River, 1 over the Eastern Ellis Railroad, and 1 over Split Rock Creek, and then also the interchange, which will be built in 2019.
So does the interchange alignment at the existing Arrows interchange, does it change at all, or are we just building a new interchange? Is it moving to the east or to the west, or is it kind of sticking pretty much?
I think the majority of it's sticking pretty much in the same location. Okay. It will be a single point intersection up top.
Okay.
It'd be similar to 10th Street and 229.
Okay, so that'll be, so our drivers have gone through those before.
We've seen these before, yes.
Yeah, okay. And then also, I know that we have the side path or the bike path that'll go all the way up to Rice Street. Will that bike path go up to the interchange?
Yes, I believe it will include it up to actually the interstate itself.
Okay, so we're accommodating all modes of traffic on our project here.
Yes,
Wonderful.
we are.
So how will the coordination work then between the finishing of Maple to Rice and then the new project from Rice up to I-90?
Okay, so from up to Maple up to Rice, it will be, like I say, the contractor will be finishing that here the end of November. I believe is the completion date for that. Traffic will be on the new Rice Street interchange, and the lights will be up and intact at that point. Obviously, construction will start on the next phase concurrently then.
So that Timberline Road, though, will be pretty much closed off to traffic, though, right? As soon as the next phase starts.
As soon as the next phase starts, yes, I would anticipate the Timberline will be closed off.
Okay. Well, let's get a quick update on a couple of other DOT projects. So I know going out to Minnesota, there's work going on Interstate 90 by Brandon. Can you give our viewers a quick update on that project?
We actually have two projects going on at that location. Just east of Brandon, there's the Split Rock Creek bridges. Those bridges are, we're replacing both bridges there in the eastbound and westbound lanes.
Okay.
Currently, I would say they're putting the deck steel in for the first bridge, hoping to get it poured here either end of this week or beginning of next. That project's a $7.8 million project. So at that point, we can build the first bridge, put traffic over there, build the other half yet this year.
So will both bridges be done this year?
We are hoping that both bridges will be done this year, yes.
And then there's also pavement work going on Interstate 92, right?
Yes, we have an asphalt overlay project going on over our continually reinforced concrete. And that's going from just east of 229 all the way to the Minnesota state line. Okay.
And then for those West Siders, there is work going on Interstate 29, basically from 26th Street North. What's our contractor doing there?
Our contractor's doing concrete repair work.
Okay.
You've probably already seen them out there and working at this point. We're trying to keep those lane closures down to a mile in length.
Okay.
To try and reduce the amount of impact to traffic, and we're trying to keep 2 lanes of traffic open at all times, with some minor closing of interstate ramps to complete the work. Okay,
and then lastly, Arrowhead Parkway, I know we've talked on our last interview that it was coming. Is Arrowhead Parkway going to start in 2017?
Arrowhead Parkway is anticipated to start in 2017 here. Just recently let and is anticipated to be awarded to TNR Contracting here, a Sioux Falls contractor.
Okay.
It's actually the same contractor that's doing the Veterans Parkway.
Very good.
We're very familiar with TNR and the work that they do. I would say the work starting off on Arrowhead, I would anticipate if they follow the sequence that we have in the plans, will be the intersection of Highline and work to the east along Arrowhead Parkway.
Okay, so all these projects, aside from Veterans Parkway, have kept the project area open to traffic, and so our drivers, we just continue to remind our drivers to be careful in these work zones, right?
Yes, absolutely. The best thing I could say is please pay attention into the work zone, slow down, be aware of trucks entering and leaving the project, and most of all, be careful of the construction workers.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for your time today. We remind our viewers to stay up to date on all of our construction projects on siouxfalls.org under the Engineering Street Construction Projects webpage. Back to you.
Thanks, Shannon. And as many parents know, finding daycare can be a really stressful process. But the city has several ordinances in place to make sure that your child is protected and healthy. Katie Wick explains.
Daycare settings are part of many families' lives in Sioux Falls. I'm Katie Wick with the City Health Department, and I'm here with Dominic Miller, who is one of our health inspectors, to talk about home daycares in specific. So thanks for joining us today, Dominic.
Thank you, Katie.
Talk to us a little bit about what the city ordinance is for Sioux Falls on home daycares.
Sure. I think probably the best place to begin is to try to define what a daycare is. So the City of Sioux Falls defines a daycare as any in-home place where they are providing care for children from more than one family for any type of compensation. If they're doing so, that's a daycare, and they have to be registered as such.
Okay. Is there a specific number of children that is part of that ordinance, or is it up 1 to 10?
Yes, certainly there are stipulations on the number of children. Total number of children allowed in any daycare is 12. Now, along with that number of 12 children maximum, there's also what they call adult to child ratios. So, and it gets a little bit complicated, but I just try to tell people to remember 4 under 2 and 2 under 1.
Okay.
So is part of that total of 12 children maximum in the daycare. They can have 4 children under the age of 2, and 2 of them children can be under the age of 1. So really what the ordinance is trying to do is just recognize that there is an increased level of care required for infants and toddlers.
Okay, and with the health department, do we ever go in and inspect those home daycares to make sure that they're following those ordinances?
Yes, we do. So number one, any concerns or complaints that come into our office, we follow that up with an inspection. We'll go to the house, we'll go to the daycare provider's house, and we'll address the complaint or the concern, and we'll do a full inspection at that time. Also, anytime a daycare provider moves, we'll go there and we'll inspect their new property. Really the 2 main inspections though are when a daycare provider is starting up their daycare in their home. There's a pre-opening inspection, and there's what we call the new facility opening inspection. The pre-opening inspection is exactly what it sounds. A couple days before they actually start providing care, we'll go in, take a look at the house, and just make sure that it's ready for children to enter. That's scheduled. We'll follow that up sometime within the next 30 days after they open with that new facility opening inspection. Same thing that we do on the pre-opening inspection, we just don't announce it. We show up unannounced.
Okay, and for those inspections, when you're looking to have a person registered for daycare and looking for some of those things, what do you look for, or what could parents look for in a good daycare?
Okay, so we've already talked a little bit about the number of kids, okay, and then the ratio. So when I go into a house and I start inspecting, the first thing I'm going to do is ask the provider how many kids are going to be there, and the ages. And then so I'll go around and I'll count heads and try to verify how many infants we have and how many toddlers. After that, it's really, Katie, it's just common sense safety stuff that we're looking for. We're trying to make sure that the home is safe as possible for kids to be in, to play and to learn. So we're looking for any poisons, medicines, chemicals, anything that can cut them, guns, knives, just things of that nature. Just make sure that all them things are up out of reach or they're locked up.
Okay, and so after you're done with your inspection, is there a place that parents can go online and look to see these home daycare inspections at all?
Yeah, they can go to the city website, so it's siouxfalls.org, go to the daycare tab, and then pull up the daycare inspections. Punch in the provider's name, hopefully the name comes up, and any inspections that have been done will be listed as well as the status of the provider.
Okay, and what if a parent finds that their daycare provider's name is not on that list?
Well, a couple things maybe there. Just make sure that the name is being spelled right. I think actually they can just punch in maybe the first few letters of the name, first or last, and it should come up. And if there's any questions, just call us and we'll help them sort through it. If they have a specific daycare in mind, we can talk about any inspections that have accrued. And I think the important thing to take out of all this is that if you operate a daycare in Sioux Falls, they have to be registered, and there's a registration certificate that has to be posted as well. So look for that when they're out shopping for daycare.
Okay. Any other specific things or tips you'd like to give to parents on daycares in Sioux Falls, or things that you might want them just to know?
Well, I mean, we're there every day. This is what we do. It's the most important program that I'm involved in as an inspector. There's a number of programs that I work on, but this is by far the most important thing that I do. Obviously, what we're dealing with. So, but we can't be there all the time, so we're really relying on the eyes and the ears of the parents going in and out of the daycares every day. And we just ask them to kind of, rely on their gut. I don't expect every parent to be able to quote ordinance. I don't expect them to be able to quote that 402, 201. But if they can have a general knowledge of how many infants are allowed, how many total kids are allowed, kind of look for them things. If you have any questions, any concerns, to please call us. Okay, and again, can you give us that website and a phone number for people to contact you? Okay, phone number is 367-8760-8760. And then the website is at www.siouxfalls.org. Okay, well, we really appreciate all the hard work you do to keep our kids and home daycare safe. So thank you very much, Dominic. Thank you, Katie.
Coming up after the break, they've got something to tweet about at the Great Plains Zoo.
I'm a company president working downtown.
I'm a college student.
I'm a full-time employee.
I'm a husband and a father.
I'm a son and a brother.
I'm a wife and a mother.
And I ride a bicycle as well.
And I'm a bike commuter.
And I'm a cyclist.
And I'll look out for you, you look out for me.
The City of Sioux Falls has a powerful way you can turn this into this. The free sanitary landfill pass can help you get rid of clutter, improve the look of your home, reduce areas that mosquitoes breed in your yard, and help the environment. Load up your stuff, grab your free pass, tarp your load, and bring it to the landfill. It's that easy. Brought to you by the City of Sioux Falls Sanitary Landfill.
Welcome back. The Great Plains Zoo has received accreditation, and fewer than 10% of all zoos and aquariums receive it across the country. The Great Plains Zoo has something to roar or tweet about. It's among some of the most elite zoos and aquariums receiving accreditation from the Association of Zoos and Aquariums.
Accreditation begins with a self-evaluation process, so the zoo would have to fill out a questionnaire, make sure that they have all the policies and procedures up to date and that they're implementing them. Then they send their application to the AZA, to our Office of Accreditation. We determine that it's a complete and they filled everything out, the basics, and then we put together a team to send in for an on-site inspection. Theirs was a team of 3. Every team includes a veterinarian, but we also like to include somebody who's an expert in husbandry and someone who's an expert in zoo administration. That team was here for 3 days last June, I believe.
And the accreditation takes into account years of work.
I was here 6 years ago. Actually, at the time, the construction fence was up for the snow monkey, so it was a big thrill for me today to get to see the completed exhibit. It's very well done. The animals are clearly very comfortable there on this hot day here in Sioux Falls. They were out swimming, they've had breeding, so all signs of a very successful exhibit.
When it comes to what makes the Great Plains Zoo among the best, well, it's not just the animals, it's also the people.
Several things stand out, and that number one is just the staff. Clearly there's great teamwork here, and under the leadership of Elizabeth Whaley, but she's put together a great team that works together well. And then the other thing is it's a smaller zoo, so probably a mid-sized zoo, 45 acres, 1,000 animals, but it has some nice gems, some very up close and personal exhibits, like the snow monkey exhibit for one, and the Asian big cat exhibit.
And this marks more than 25 years that the Great Plains Zoo has received the accreditation.
It should give this relatively small community pride that they have an accredited institution, one of 231, 214 in the U.S.
The dog days of summer, well, they can take their toll on animals and on people too. But staying cool in the heat, well, that can sometimes be hard to do, but that's why we've got some tips from Sioux Falls Fire Rescue.
Hello, I'm Division Chief Steve Fessler with Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. And today I'm talking with Jeremy Robertson. He's an EMS educator here with Fire Rescue. And we want to discuss a little bit more about heat-related issues that we see on a day-to-day basis, and some of the things that we do for rehab on fire scenes during high heat.
Absolutely. And we are coming up on that time of year where it's getting hotter out, the humidity index is getting higher, and people are more prone to those heat-related emergencies. The big thing with heat stuff is prevention, is staying hydrated, making sure you're getting plenty of fluids on board, making sure that you're comfortable with your physical level of what you're doing, and then keeping an eye out for some of those emergencies that can potentially develop.
Some of those emergencies are, I know you've got a couple of different ones, heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke.
Yep. Heat cramps is usually one of the first onsets of your body telling you, hey, I'm starting to get dehydrated, I'm getting a little bit warmed up. So typically what happens is you'll get cramps in large muscle groups, legs, ribs, things like that. The best thing you can do for someone who's experiencing heat cramps is to get them into a cool area, get them hydrated, and keep an eye on them for about 15 minutes. If the cramps don't resolve, they need to go to the hospital right away. This next level up from that is where we get into that heat exhaustion part of it. Well, heat exhaustion is your body's trying to compensate for all the heat that it's experiencing, so it starts to shut down. So they're going to be profusely sweaty, they may be a little confused, a little disorientated, they may have some nausea and vomiting issues, things along that lines, but you're really going to recognize this person just isn't quite acting the way they normally do. For those folks that are experiencing heat exhaustion, you want to get them cooled down as quickly as you can. So what we recommend is cool rags, cool area, get them into air conditioning if you can, getting some rags on the neck, head, and get that body temperature down. The next level from that is what we call heat stroke, and that's when your body's actually shutting down because of the heat. So for those folks, they're going to be disorientated, confused, possible nausea, but the big thing is they're going to stop sweating, is they're going to be hot and dry, and those are a real medical emergency. Those folks need to be at the hospital as soon as possible to get that core body temperature down as quickly as possible.
And along with that, I know we run on quite a few different calls where we deal with that on a day-to-day basis. But when we go on a fire scene, our own firefighters are working in high heat, and then you start adding in the humidity in a really warm day on top of it. What kind of things are we doing as an organization to help our own firefighters?
Yep, and so as the fire department itself, is one of the things we really promote is hydration throughout the day, is consistently drinking some water, drinking some Gatorade, trying to stay ahead of that curve before we actually go out on one of these incidents where we're working with all the heavy gear and working real hard. The other thing is we have a real aggressive rehab program through the fire department. We actually have one truck, the ISU 9, that is specialized for rehab. So what we do is we kind of have a general rule. The chief commander of that scene is keeping an eye on his folks, not letting them work too hard, but we always rotate people in and out. So if somebody's been working on the scene for 10, 15 minutes and they look like they've been working hard, is we try to get them out of that area, get the heavy gear off, get them cooled down, get some fluids into them, give them a short rest period, usually about 10 to 15 minutes, try to get the body temperature down, get the adrenaline down, and then we'll recycle that person back into that fire scene.
So it's something that we all have to keep an eye on all the time. If you walk around a fire station or come up, you'll see guys and girls walking around with water bottles, and they're always drinking water and staying hydrated. Anything else with the heat coming on, anything that the public should be aware of and think through?
The biggest thing is listen to your body. Keep them hydrated. If you feel thirsty, drink water. Know what your normal day-to-day activities are, and just keep an eye. If you're not feeling well, that's probably a good sign that something's going on. Get cooled down, get some fluids in you, and just be safe out there.
And if you're not able to get cooled down, and if the rags and the water aren't helping, don't be afraid to call 911.
Absolutely. Anytime you feel like it's more than you can handle, call 911.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Jeremy. If you'd like to learn more about Sioux Falls Fire Rescue, go to the website at siouxfalls.org/fire. Thank you.
And keeping cool this time of year can also mean spending some time around the Big Sioux River. But keeping the Big Sioux River clean and looking toward its future will be the focus of a summit coming up.
I'm Jesse Nyans from the City of Sioux Falls Environmental Division. Today we're going to talk about the 5th annual Mayor's Big Sioux River Water Quality Summit. This year's Water Summit is actually going to be held in Watertown, South Dakota at the Watertown Event Center at the Ramkota Hotel. It'll be a similar agenda of what we had last year. We're going to talk about water quality projects throughout the watershed, and it's a place for people to come and learn about water quality and what we can do to improve water quality. We always talk about our water quality efforts here in our local watershed, and you'll be able to get an update of what has been accomplished in our watershed. And one of the new things about being held in Watertown, we'll get to hear about some new projects going on in other parts of the watershed to our north. The status of the Big Sioux, we're still on the impaired list for total suspended solids and bacteria. We are starting to see some improvements in one of our major tributaries, Skunk Creek, and a lot of our water quality efforts have been focused on that tributary, which helps the water quality of Big Sioux River here in Sioux Falls. So we're making some good progress, but we still have a long ways to go. This summit, just like all summits, I'm hoping new people get the opportunity to learn about water quality and the water quality projects in the area, and hopefully we can bring it to a new audience this year in Watertown, and so they can learn about water quality and what's going on in their watershed and what they can do to help improve water quality so we can all enjoy a great river. For the Big Sioux River Water Summit this year, there's no registration, there's no sign-up fees. Basically, you can just come on the day of the event, which is September 20th. It's a Wednesday in Watertown. So basically, we just need you to show up, be interested in water quality, and come and learn something new. Share it with other people. We're going to get the word out, not only here in Sioux Falls, but everywhere along the watershed. People have the opportunity to come and listen to see what's going on.
Thanks for joining us here on City Scene. Now remember, if you missed anything, all you need to do is head over to siouxfalls.org, or we've got our show as well on YouTube.